American singer, songwriter, and actress Phyllis Linda Hyman was born on July 6, 1949, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Shortly after her birth, her parents moved to Pittsburgh and into the Clair Village housing projects. After the move, the family grew exponentially. Firstborn Phyllis would become a big sister to 6 other siblings. She's also the cousin of actor Earl Hyman. Phyllis's talent for singing would take center stage in high school when she joined the chorus. Her music teacher saw something special in her, so he offered her private voice lessons. Those lessons paid off big time when she was awarded the first ever music scholarship to a private university in Pennsylvania. However, she would end up dropping out 1 year later to pursue singing full-time. Over the course of several years, beginning in the late 60s and into the early 70s, she had a variety of professional experiences. First, she formed an all-female group called the Sounds of Ebony. Then, she embarked on her first tour with the jazz band New Direction. After they split up, she joined the groups All the People and the Hondo Beat. Years later, Phyllis would admit that her voice was just always there, even as a little girl. She was a naturally outstanding and immense vocal stylist with a mature sound. Oddly enough, she didn't grow up with music. She didn't sing in church like many other Black future vocalists. There wasn't even a record player in her childhood home. She didn't listen to or study other artists. Her vocal training background solely came from singing in choruses, beginning in grade school and continued into college. Phyllis then moved down to Miami, Florida in 1972. To pay the bills, she began singing in local clubs. The following year, a job on a cruise ship would have her cross paths with Jamaican singer Larry Alexander. When the cruise ship experience ended, Phyllis returned to Miami with Larry and a very business-savvy career plan. Around this time, Phyllis made her big screen debut in the biographical drama film Lenny. It would be one of a handful of movies over the years she would be featured in. She decided to start her own band called Phyllis Hyman and the PH Factor. Now seemed as good a time as any to make the big move to the Big Apple. Phyllis would be briefly signed to Private Stock Records, where she would release her first single, called Leavin' the Good Life Behind, in 1975. Soon after that, music industry veteran Sid Moore and former Epix Records promoter Fred Frank would sign Phyllis to their Desert Moon label under Roadshow Records. Phyllis Hyman and the PH Factor landed an amazing gig at a popular Upper West Side restaurant. The 6-foot Glamazon, along with her band, regularly performed in front of numerous musical icons, such as Roberta Flack and Stevie Wonder. One night, Phyllis was approached by jazz drummer, composer, arranger, and music producer Norman Connors. He promised her he would be back in a week or two to get her and put her in the studio. He did just that and asked Phyllis to do a cover of the 1972 hit Betcha by Golly Wow by the Stylistics. The song was featured on Norman's 1976 album titled You Are My Starship, along with a duet between Phyllis and bass guitarist and vocalist Michael Henderson called We Both Need Each Other. Another record deal was put on the table, and this time Phyllis would sign with Buddha Records. The following year, her self-titled debut album was released. A couple of singles came out of it, but Phyllis didn't spend much time focused on that. She went right back into the studio to begin work on her second album. Sing a Song was released the next year. However, by this time, Buddha Records had been taken over by Arista Records. One would think a partnership between legendary CEO Clive Davis and Phyllis Hyman would be as great of an idea as pairing peanut butter with jelly. It wasn't. To say that Phyllis and Clive bumped heads was an understatement. Phyllis was a businesswoman through and through. She wanted to do things her way, and Clive pushed back. Of course, Clive was very much a businessman, and his goal for her was to cross over into the pop world to get more attention and sell more records. When Phyllis went back into the studio to begin work on her first project for Arista, she had some company, Barry Manilow. Phyllis's third album, titled Somewhere in My Lifetime, was released in January 1979. Many of the songs from the second album were included on this one as well. The title track, produced by Barry Manilow, rose all the way to the number 12 position on the R&B chart. However, the hit wasn't hitting enough for Clive. Even though her career wasn't taking off the way she wanted it to, Phyllis could at least enjoy the success she was experiencing in her personal life. After establishing a solid trust and love for one another, Phyllis and Larry Alexander married. Her follow-up album, You Know How to Love Me, was released in October 1979. The soulful disco title track, written and produced by James Mtume and Reggie Lucas, would soar to number 10 on the R&B chart. The album also did much better on the charts than her debut, which, of course, made the label very happy. However, the competition was hot on her heels, and right in her face. Arista started signing several other female vocalists to their roster, such as Angela Bofill, Dionne Warwick, and Aretha Franklin. While in the process of working on her next studio album, the opportunity to star in a Broadway musical presented itself. Phyllis auditioned and landed a leading role in Duke Ellington's Sophisticated Ladies, alongside Gregory Hines and Hinton Battle. She was ecstatic. Clive Davis, not so much. He didn't want her to do a Broadway play, but Phyllis stood her ground and did it anyway. This move could very well be considered the beginning of the end of this chapter of her life. One thing about Phyllis that the people who worked with her experienced quite often was her need to be in control. Control equaled comfort for her and was what she needed to feel safe. She was oftentimes combative, especially with label head Clive. Phyllis was even bold enough to speak ill of him in the press, show up late for meetings, and also referred to him as a plantation owner. There was a cycle with Phyllis. She would get insecure and self-sabotage, then be resentful of her failure compared to the success of women she knew weren't more talented than she was, and then lash out. She was equally frustrated with failure and scared of success. Phyllis would receive a Tony Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress in a Musical for her role in Sophisticated Ladies. She wouldn't win that award, however, she would win a Theatre World Award for Best Newcomer. Soon after, her fifth studio album, Can't We Fall in Love Again, would be released in June 1981. The album would give Phyllis another top 10 R&B hit with the title track, another duet with Michael Henderson. She also appeared on several movie soundtracks, did a lot of guest vocal work for other artists, and delved into the world of television commercials.
200 million people, no two are quite the same. Each doing things their own way, each plays a different game. But folks who like things their way, well, they come to Burger King. For burgers big or burgers small, with everything or nothing at all. Yes, America loves burgers at America's Burger King.
Not everything was sunshine and rainbows, though, in the life of Phyllis Hyman. The rigorous performance schedule of the play and simultaneously working on her album took its toll. Her marriage also faltered, and her and Larry divorced. They had no children. In 1983, after the 2-year run of Sophisticated Ladies came to an end, Phyllis walked away knowing that she was going to be taking a new approach to her music career. Her 6th album, and what would be her last with Arista, Goddess of Love, dropped in May of that year. Things between Phyllis and Clive were worse than ever. Part of Phyllis's new approach to her career involved new management as well. Her new team hired a new fashion stylist that created what would become Phyllis's signature look. The following year, after Arista signed a young, up-and-coming R&B singer from New Jersey by the name of Whitney Houston, Phyllis was dropped from the label. The dismissal may have bruised her ego, however, around this time an amazing acting opportunity had come her way. Phyllis landed the role of Shug Avery, the mistress of Ceely's abusive husband, in the coming-of-age period drama film The Color Purple. Apparently, Phyllis ended up losing the role because she turned off everyone she came in contact with, including director Steven Spielberg and potential co-stars Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah Winfrey, and Danny Glover. The idea of being trapped with her for many months in North Carolina while shooting the film was just too much to bear. So, after the role was offered to other entertainers such as Tina Turner, Diana Ross, and Patti LaBelle, Phyllis was ultimately replaced by actress and singer Margaret Avery. Phyllis would turn her attention back to her music and go on to sign a new deal with Philadelphia International Records. Her first project with them, her 7th album titled Living All Alone, was released in August 1986. The breakout hit of the album was the title track that peaked at the number 12 position on the R&B chart. The song definitely spoke to what Phyllis was experiencing in real life. Over the years, she tried, but failed, to maintain healthy relationships with men. Another track off the album that really spoke to her heart was Old Friend, written by fellow Pennsylvania native Linda Creed. She wrote the song specifically for Phyllis before her death from breast cancer in 1986. Phyllis continued to be overcome with emotion and cry every time she performed the song. Phyllis was also dealing with her fair share of struggles. She battled with her weight, her addictions to alcohol and cocaine, and was also diagnosed with bipolar disorder. She entered rehab in 1986 and came out with what appeared to be a new lease on life. However, she would soon stop taking her medication and continued using substances, sex, and food for comfort. In June 1990, Phyllis was rushed to the hospital after taking an overdose of sleeping pills. 6 months later, she went back to rehab. Her next album, appropriately titled Prime of My Life, dropped in June 1991. It was her first in 5 years, and it would turn out to be the most successful of her career. The single, Don't Want to Change the World, would be her first #1 R&B hit. However, Phyllis would have to deal with more personal blows in the next several years. Her mother and grandmother would both pass away in 1993. Then, in 1994, when she was trying to revive her acting career, she became sidelined for many weeks after breaking her foot. Her financial situation was also in shambles. Alcohol, drugs, and food, once again, became her crutch. On the afternoon of June 30th, 1995, 6 days before her 46th birthday, Phyllis took her own life by overdosing on a mixture of sleeping pills and alcohol in the bedroom of her New York City apartment. Her suicide note read, in part, "I'm tired." She had instructed her assistants to wake her in time for a sound check hours before she was scheduled to perform at the Apollo Theater. When they arrived, the door was locked from the inside. After breaking in, they found her in bed and unconscious. She was pronounced dead at the hospital. In November 1995, 5 months after her death, Phyllis Hyman's 9th studio album titled I Refuse to Be Lonely was released. 3 years later, a second posthumous album of previously unreleased material titled Forever With You was also released. Since her transition, there hasn't been much said or written about Phyllis. That is until 2007, when her authorized biography, in cooperation with her estate, was released called Strength of a Woman, The Phyllis Hyman Story. Even though she ultimately chose to end her life on her terms, before doing so, Phyllis ensured that she left a legacy of beautiful music that will last and live on forever. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and comment. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you won't miss any future videos. See you next time!